Welcome to the Published and Paid podcast, where we share book, business, leadership, and life lessons in 20 minutes or less to help you build a thought leadership brand and business. My name is Jasmine Womack. I'm a former middle school language arts teacher turned seven-figure entrepreneur, and I am glad that you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Published and Paid podcast, where we talk about all things publishing your intellectual property and getting paid for it, as well as leadership, business, and life lessons. I am Jasmine Womack, and in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing 6 mistakes made by leaders who write books that cost them millions in revenue. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Today we are talking about the M's, the big M's, the millions, because I thoroughly believe that there are some core mistakes that leaders who, when writing their books, make these mistakes and they don't even understand while they're making the mistake that it's keeping them from revenue, that the mistake is keeping them from impact, right? Like oftentimes, leaders will refer to themselves as authors, and then they proceed to write a book that they want to write or write a book that they've been interested in writing. Or worse, they move forward to write a book and then create their checkout pages, but they have no experience in sales, no experience or background in marketing. There's simply no prior knowledge. And here, yet you are attempting to create a physical product that you plan to sell as a part of your offer suite, but you're treating it like it's a project that you just did in the evening. And we've got to talk about this, because when you're writing a book, you're not just writing a book. You're not just quote unquote, becoming an author and sharing your life story. You are creating a product as a part of your business model that will generate leads for you, that will create opportunities for you, and that should bring more revenue into the business. However, when you approach it from an amateur standpoint, you're going to get stuck with a book that you're not doing anything with. And this is especially for those who are going the self-publishing route. If I haven't seen it once, I've seen it a million times. I was just having a conversation with someone today, and they were just sharing about how they were just so frustrated with work-life balance, and they couldn't figure out how to make it work, right? So I sent them a link of the podcast where I talked about time management. However, when you want to take your business to another level, it's important to actually not just listen, but implement things and put things into action. And one of the best ways to get into action is to get in an environment in which you're going to be challenged. You got to put yourself in an environment in which you are going to be stretched. You've got to put yourself in an environment where other people there are trying to do the same things that you're doing. So that way you don't feel like a one man or one woman's island. You realize that you have community within the sphere and the scope of what you are attempting to do. But when you isolate yourself, or when you don't invest in yourself, or when you don't invest in improving or increasing your knowledge to grow your business, then you are going to stay stuck. You're going to have a book that you know how to do nothing with. And it is what it is. So there are some core mistakes. Going back to my overall point. So I extended an opportunity for this person to come and coach with me in person. I'm like, listen, you've got a book coming out. You've got some other things going on. You don't really have a lot of background knowledge. And based on our interaction, literally, I can see some gaps that I can help you to fill. And they were just like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And while you have the right to decline, When you make declining offers or when you make declining help or even declining coaching a part of your routine, then really you're just making the decision that you're going to stay stuck, that you're going to stay in a place of limitation, that you're going to be in the author's abyss. You're going to be one in these millions of authors, of experts and leaders who say that they have books, but they're doing nothing with because they don't know how to do it. And they won't invest in not even just the resources, financial resources, but the time and the energy to learn how to change their game. So in this episode, we're going to talk about 6 mistakes that you might be making that could be costing you millions in revenue when you write your book. So the first mistake is that you have no real plan. Like you've got the goal to write a book, or you may have had the goal to write a book and you may have already written it, but you didn't have a plan in regards to what you were going to do with the book. You didn't have a plan as to how you were going to expand your message. You didn't have a plan as to how you were going to increase sales. Before you write a single word, it is imperative that you start out with a plan. You might not have all of the steps of the plan laid out, but you at least need to have a vision of where you want to go. You at least need to have a vision of what you want to do with the book, how you want the book to impact your readers, and how you want to benefit from the fruits of your labor. Mistake number 2 is that you lack having a marketing and promotional campaign. Listen, writing the book is half of the battle. You've got the product, but now you've got to get out there and sell it. Now you've got to get out there and promote it. Now you've got to get out there and spread the message. Now you've got to get out there and be seen. And let me tell you this, you've got to have your marketing and promotional plan ready before that book is finished. Because when the book is finished, now while you're writing the book, you should be marketing it. Whether that's sharing behind the scenes, talking about it at least once per week, getting your audience buy-in and making them a part of the process. Like you've got to have a plan and a campaign to effectively market and promote this book. Waiting until after it's done to even think about this, you've destroyed any possibility for sales. Like honestly. Now, can you come back and relaunch a book after it's already launched? You absolutely can. But I'm talking to those of you who may not have the book published yet. You've got to start thinking about how you're going to market it and promote it. And I'm going to say this, hiring a marketing agency should not necessarily be your default. Because if you are unclear with your message, with your audience, the marketing agency can only market to the effectiveness that your product, that your industry, that your client, and that your outcomes. You will end up hiring an agency who is going to take your money and none of their marketing efforts work. And that's because you were unclear with the information that you gave them. Which takes me to my third mistake is that your messaging is misaligned. Everything is messaging. Understanding your ideal reader, understanding which subset of your readers will likely become ideal customers and clients, understanding who you're speaking to, the outcomes that they desire, the challenges that they may be experiencing, the vocabulary that you use, the examples that you give. All of that is messaging. There is a difference between middle managers and the executive suite. But if you're just saying leaders is everybody, right? But the examples that you give, the advice that you give needs to be specific to the audience that you're speaking to. But if your messaging is misaligned or unclear, then you won't know these nuances. And you know what? Then it's going to trickle over into everything else you do. Your speaking, your training, your coaching, your consulting. And this isn't to say that where you start is where you finish. As your business grows, your avatar may change. As your business evolves and expands, your messaging may shift. But you've got to start somewhere. Mistake number 4 is that you're not positioning your book or your products for monetization. And this happens with, I would say, about 95% of authors. There's nothing wrong with writing a Christian devotional. But if the Christian devotional is all about you and your faith walk instead of identifying a target reader, and you're focusing on them and their faith walk, you're not positioning yourself for monetization. Positioning yourself, in order to effectively position yourself, let me pause. In order to effectively position yourself for monetization, that's going to start with your book. And you cannot just write a book and publish a book because that's what you want it to do and then think you're going to monetize that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Your book must be solution oriented. You must have a certain demographic in mind or ideal audience, and your book must be very clear on providing a specific solution or helping your readers achieve a certain outcome by the time they finish reading your book. When you have been able to effectively do this and you can articulate it in 5 seconds or less using your power positioning statement, now you are positioned for monetization. Mistake number 5 is that you're not getting visible. When you want to generate millions, you want to turn your book into millions, you're going to have to get visible. Part of having a book is having what's called a personal brand. This means that people need to see you. They need to hear you. They need to get familiar with your content, not other people's content, your content. And one of the best ways to get visible is to speak. Now, I absolutely love speaking. However, I am one of those people that built their platforms using a virtual stage. Even this podcast right now, this is a virtual stage. I can take this and still go and speak about the same concepts on an in-person stage. But you're missing out on much opportunity because you are scared to go live, because you are scared to allow people to hear your voice, whether it's on a video, an audio room, or whatnot. You've got to get visible. You might be used to being seen behind the scenes, but this is a season when you're going to have to make friends with being out in front and letting people know about the special sauce that you bring. And mistake number 6 that might be costing you millions of dollars is that you are not making offers beyond your book. Now, the possibility of you making $1 million from one book, particularly if you're self-published, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it can be challenging because now you're going mass. You're trying to sell as many books as possible. A $20, $25 book, you're trying to generate millions off of that. It's much easier to use your book as a gateway to other opportunities. Use your book to bring people into your coaching programs. Use your book to get paid to speak and train more. But in order to do that, you've got to extend the offer. You've got to make more offers. So this is where you have to sit down and think about what are those things that you're selling in your business beyond your book? What are those things that you're selling with your business in your book? You've got to think about this strategically. Okay. And once you think about it and you have your offers very clear, now you've got to make the offer, which is where you extend the offer to someone. Let people know how they can work with you. Reach out directly and let people know. If it's somebody that you think would be a great fit, reach out directly and let them know what you have going on, what you're doing, and how it could benefit them. I literally just had someone to reach out to me. She's a New York Times best-selling author, and her book has been on the bestsellers list for the past 4 years. And she is a pioneer in the high-ticket coaching space, and she's been doing corporate speaking and trainings for the past 30 years. We'd never actually had an in-person conversation, but she's seen my work. And she was also in an area a few years ago where I held my live event, and she was impressed. So she started this program, and based off of her experience with me, as well as what she saw about me in the spirit, she reached out. And her offer was just what I had been looking for. I had just not had seen anybody doing it or offering it. You don't know who is looking for the exact solution that you provide. And as long as you stay quiet about it, as long as you stay in your little corner, and as long as you don't challenge yourself to be bigger, to think bigger, to go bigger, to speak louder, to be bolder, not only are you hindering your own success, but you're also not providing a solution to people who literally are looking for what you bring. We've got to make offers. So as you move forward to write your book, if you're in the writing stage, to publish your book if you're in the progress stage, or to monetize your book if you are already published, I want you to think about what I shared here in this episode and how you can start where you are to correct the wrongs. If you're already published or in this doesn't mean that you need to shut everything down and then just go start all the way over from scratch and write something brand new. No, you can still leverage the book that you have, but you want to start putting these strategies into place now. If you know someone who needs this, if this episode was helpful for you, please leave a review, share this out with your audience, and subscribe to the podcast. Several of you all have been coming and saying, Jazz, this podcast, I love your podcast. It's been so helpful for me. And I'm so glad that you all are, that you're receiving the benefit that it's been valuable for you. That means a lot. If this has been valuable, please leave a review and share this out with someone who needs this. You can follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Jasmine, Jasmine Womack, Womack. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Until next time, peace, love, and impact.